Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and I thought we would take a look at what's coming up with this full moon. Today is Friday. Tomorrow, Saturday evening, actually the full moon is occurring exactly at 12:23 a.m. on Sunday, Eastern Daylight Time. So this is just past midnight between Saturday and Sunday. Perfect time for a full moon fire. And this is the Hunter's Moon of October. I was over here at space.com reading the article about October's full Hunter's Moon, supermoon rising this weekend, and it explains in scientific terms why the moon looks particularly huge and brightly colored, and why we are able to see it tonight, tomorrow night, and I think a couple of nights after, right near the horizon, right after sunset. So if you want to find out more from the astronomical perspective, you can head on over to space.com and check that out. Astrologically, I'm very excited about this moon. I always feel a shift when the moon moves out of Pisces and into Aries. The last two nights, I actually slept 10-hour nights. I guess I've been sleep deprived or something. Maybe had some more dreaming that my body needed to catch up on. But I can also attribute it to the moon having just transited through Pisces. And now the moon has moved out of that watery dream place into a hot, fiery initiative energy that wants to get things started, get things done, start fresh things, initiate, lead, tell other people what to do. I love the Aries energy. It's good and feisty. Right now I'm over at planetwatcher.com, where we are looking at October 14th, and the moon is not yet in its opposition here to the sun, and I believe when it does enter full, it will be at 23 degrees of Aries. And I think the Sabian symbol for that is a harp playing itself, if I'm correct on that. You can also look up more information on Sabian symbols if you want to find out more about that and what that symbolism might mean for you. Now, what we've got going on tomorrow, let's move this forward, and we can see that this opposition comes in more clearly, a little bit darker here over at Planet Watcher, and we have several planets lined up in Libra besides the Sun. We've got Jupiter in a very loose conjunction with Mercury, and then we have Mercury in a very loose conjunction with the Sun. There's 8 degrees between each of these planets, so it's loose, not tight, but they are associated right now by sign, so there is heavy emphasis on the Libra energy right now and awareness of anything that is Libran, such as partnerships, compromise, planning, strategy, diplomacy, finding perfection and harmony or balance within your life. I find that in terms of relationships, the most important thing that Libra seeks is acceptance from other people, and therefore Libra does not want to offend anybody and wants to be treated fairly, and therefore treats other people fairly. Libra is always aware of the dynamic between self and somebody else. And Aries, of course, is very individual. It's looking at the I. Aries says, I am. It's focused on I. And Libra is focused on we. It needs the mirror of a relationship. So while we have this opposition in play, we will be more aware of that balance between the self and somebody else, or looking at the dynamics of our relationships. Jupiter would be focused on growth, and Mercury would be focused on the communication. And basically, how can we find a win-win? And I feel that with the conjunction of the moon to Uranus, transiting Uranus, that is, that sometimes you need to do a complete turnaround or complete change when that planet becomes activated by the moon, or perhaps the answer or the solution is somewhere that you haven't thought to look. It may be with something completely different, or somebody completely different, or an entirely different way of looking at things. Instead of looking within this opposition, look elsewhere. There may be some forced tension or something that is about to erupt or explode. I would be careful in terms of your communication. If you need to clear the air and you need to speak forcefully or firmly, then this square between Mercury and Mars conjunct Pluto in Capricorn can help you to be tough, or to be strong, or say the things that really need to be said. However, if you're just going to fly off the handle, then it may be inappropriate. Squares and oppositions can be challenging energy. However, they're also activating aspects that cause things to happen, or cause us to change, or to work at something. And very often we see more results and have more productivity when a square or an opposition is operative. And it is the easy aspects, such as this trine here, which we tend to take for granted. We have some quincunxes going on right now with Neptune and Jupiter. Hold on to those wishes and dreams. Hold on to the highest ideal or the highest vision. Don't give up. Don't let go. Chiron and the Sun. Needs seems to be an important thing here, that seeking the best way to manifest something that you need, or the best way to have what you want, aiming for the highest or the best that satisfies not just yourself but other people. And if it does involve some compromise, that the compromise is beneficial, not compromising and losing out, or compromising and getting the short end of the stick, but compromising or making some sort of a sacrifice in order to make things better or to improve upon things. So that's the energy right there. A mild sextile here between Mercury and Saturn, just helping to keep your head on straight with this aspect. Sextiles are minor, they're not huge, but they do lighten the load and they make things a little bit easier. And this can help keep your balloon from floating too high off into the air. Actually, it brings a little more of the reality of Saturn into the plans or the strategy or the designing that goes on with Libra. Again, for the best, because Sagittarian energy is always looking for the higher ground and highest ideals. And Saturn seeks something constructive. So something good or something constructive can come about, good negotiations, and this can also temper any discussions and bring some humor or some lightheartedness into it. It can alleviate some of the intensity of Mars-Pluto conjunct in Capricorn right now. I'd avoid talking religion or politics at the moment while the full moon is present. Any issue that's already volatile, or where you're going to be dividing friendships or dividing relationships, set it aside and allow the energy of the fullness of the moon and its potential to bring some of that diplomacy, the Libra diplomacy, and find other things where you can express yourself and your personal opinions or your personal creativity or your need for individuality, and leave those establishment things on the side right now, and then you'll avoid the T-square. This is very loose here, but you can see that line's still there, and we still have a bit of a T-square. So leave that aside for the night. Enjoy your relationships. Enjoy planning and designing some fresh or new cycle in your life. You may also be putting the finishing touches on something and bringing something to a conclusion. And if it is time to release or let go or transform or literally destruct or tear down something that you have worked on and bring it to an end, then there would be a completeness to this where I doubt there'd be much of looking over your shoulder, since Uranus is involved, and Aries just headstrong, self-oriented, looks forward to the future, pioneering. All of this energy here wants to be fresh and young, doesn't want to go back into the past of Capricorn or the establishment or what has been, wants to break free of that. So allow yourself to look forward, and meanwhile, don't poke at this. Leave this be, unless this is something that you actually need to confront or that you need to stir up. If you need to tear something down, then go for it. But otherwise, leave it outside of the bedroom door, leave it outside of the office door, and let that come up some other time, another day. You don't want to spend your time fighting or defending or taking a stand against people that you would rather not offend or hurt or upset, where you would have to come back later and say, I'm so sorry, I apologize, or look for any other kind of peace or forgiveness that this quincunx is offering here, rather than have to create the turmoil and then bring in the peace or forgiveness. Simply avoid playing into that whole T-square and remain in this more accepting, open, peaceful, and passive energy that's present. So that is the full moon coming up, and if you know your rising sign and you know your chart, then you can take a look and see where the moon will be transiting. You can see this is my chart here. I'm quite fortunate to have the moon in Aries. The full moon will be joining it 2 degrees apart in my 11th house of friends, groups, organizations, and the internet, which is a place where people gather. So I'm very excited about this full moon, especially since these 3 planets here are moving through my 5th house, and I am definitely feeling the urge of Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in the 5th house in terms of creativity and reaching out socially and enjoying the things in life that are meant to be enjoyed. This is a house of play. If you would like to know where your own planets are and what the transits may be bringing for you, I can be reached at my site, alohaastro.com, and it's very easy to book a reading with me through the Book Now button, where you can choose what type of a reading you would like and see my schedule. So enjoy the full moon tomorrow night, and tune in around somewhere around 11 o'clock. I should be out there burning, weather willing, and I will be actually burning for the first time in my new yard around my new fire pit. Many blessings.